Happy Holy Hump Day on this January 11th, everyone. I'm Pastor Robert. Welcome to this midweek time where I can share some spiritual thoughts and reflections with you. Well, the Christmas decorations have been put away, as you can see. They've been put away for about a week and a half or so. And you can see that we now have the green altar cloths, and that represents what's called ordinary time. And ordinary time doesn't mean boring time or mundane time. It just means that it's not a particularly high season of the church calendar, but ordinary time is important nevertheless. And so we won't have another major focus on the church calendar until about 6 weeks from now when we get to the season of Lent. And we won't even have a new sermon series until the season of Lent. So for these next several Sundays, they're going to be standalone Sundays based on our appointed scripture readings. And ordinary time is meant to be a season of steady growth where we're simply seeking to be faithful followers of Christ. And I invite us to be part of these Sundays, even though it might not be one of those well-known church seasons on the calendar. And we also have a very long ordinary time that will begin again after this winter ordinary time. We also have a summer ordinary time, and that summer ordinary time begins around the beginning of June, and it lasts the whole way until through the end of November when we have the Advent season. And so I think these two very long ordinary times on the church calendar, the winter one and the summer one, they're just helpful for us to be able to have steady growth in our faith. So I want to just go over these next several Sundays of ordinary time that we can have this steady growth in our faith. So let's look at each of these Sundays. This Sunday, January 15th, the worship theme is Called to Be the Light, based on Isaiah chapter 9. That Isaiah scripture reading invites us to think about the question, what are we doing now that shines light on something beyond ourselves? On January 22nd, the theme will be Follow Me, based on the Gospel of Matthew, where Jesus is calling the disciples to follow him. Sometimes we overcomplicate our response to God's calling in our lives. What if we would just remember these two words from Jesus, follow me? On January 29th, the worship theme is A Holy Band. It's based on 3 of our appointed scripture readings on that Sunday, from Micah, Psalm 15, and Matthew chapter 5. Those scripture readings encourage us to live a life of integrity, kindness, and justice where our hearts are consistently lined up with God's heart. And then on February 5, the worship theme is The Wounded Angel, based on 1 Corinthians. One of the paradoxes of the Christian faith is that we find our strength in our weakness. On that Sunday, in which we will be celebrating Holy Communion, we will be reminded that it's through our weakness where God's light can shine the brightest. On February 12th, the worship theme will be Next Steps, and that's based on the book of Deuteronomy. In that Deuteronomy reading, Moses offers important words of wisdom to God's people as they are getting near their destination of the Promised Land. And then our ordinary time for the winter will conclude on February 19th with the worship theme Holy Silence. That will actually be Transfiguration Sunday, the bridge Sunday between the winter ordinary time and the season of Lent. The scripture readings for that Sunday will focus on Exodus and Matthew. There are holy moments that happen in our lives when the most appropriate response is to simply listen and be silent. The Transfiguration of Jesus story offers us one of many examples in the Bible where silence can lead us into a greater awareness of God's presence in our lives. So like I said, we need both those high seasons on the church calendar, like Christmas, like Easter, and some of the other seasons, but we also need the ordinary times that we are now experiencing on the church calendar. Ordinary time is that time for just steady growth. And the reason why the color for ordinary time is the color green is because that reminds us of steady growth. And so that's so important. I invite you to join us in this ordinary time this Sunday for worship at either 9 o'clock or 10:30. And we also have our live stream on our church's YouTube channel at 10:30. Our worship theme will be Called to be the Light, based on Isaiah chapter 9. What does it mean to be called to the light? And so may you have a blessed ordinary time, and may you experience extraordinary growth in your faith.